And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the pregame cheat sheet. We are live from inside the press box here at Arrowhead Stadium. Darren Smith, along with the one and only Steve Walls, and we'd like to welcome you to our postseason edition of the pregame cheat sheet, where the Chiefs will be hosting the Houston Texans in the AFC Divisional matchup. It is the first of four games taking place this weekend. Of course, you can watch the game on ABC and your ESPN stations across the country. Steve, welcome to the playoffs, I guess, man. You know, we've had a little time off since our regular season finale.
Yeah, it feels like a long time, man.
Yeah.
A month. What was it, December 20th?
December 21st.
21st, yeah. It's been a month.
No need for us to go to Pittsburgh or especially Denver, so we got a chance to actually take a break, something that we haven't had a chance to do.
Exactly. It felt kind of weird. Like, even, looking at, they didn't have to change the field at all. No. Just put the divisional on there, and then that's it.
Yeah, big fact. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, which is interesting to say the least. When we look at today's game, Steve, what's the first thing that comes to mind? This is a rematch as we talked about from December 21st. What's your first thought process when it was announced these two teams would be taking place?
It drew my mind right to 2019. When they played this Houston team, not the same folks, but just the team, Houston, in the divisional game, and they were down, of course, 24, and ended up roaring back to beat them by 20. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And then it kind of just went to, all right, if you had to pay the lesser of I guess three evils between Baltimore, Buffalo, and Houston, which one would I want to play? And of course, it'd be Houston.
Houston. Interesting. Yeah, well, and of course, the rest of the games, and we'll get into the rest of the games, but obviously the second game after the Chiefs played this afternoon is going to be the Washington Commanders traveling to Detroit, taking on the Detroit Lions, and then, of course, tomorrow you have the doubleheader. You have the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be hosting the Los Angeles Rams, and, of course, the nightcap will include the Buffalo Bills hosting the Baltimore Ravens for the right to face the winner of today's game. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they've been off for essentially, most of the starters have been off for essentially 24 days. For those players who set out against the Denver Broncos, someone like Chris Jones set out essentially a month.
30 days.
30 days. Yep. So he should be well rested, ready to go in today's game. But, of course, the Chiefs, a lot of the players set out the Denver game. It was a meaningless game for them. Denver won that game, got them into the playoffs, only to exit the following week against the Buffalo Bills. But a lot of people are going to be talking about rest versus rust in today's matchup. Now, before I throw it to you, my opinion is normally I'm not a big fan of the rest, but it also depends on the team. I said it to say I always go back to the Dallas Cowboys in 2016, Dak Prescott's first, he and Zeke's first year. They had wrapped up the division. They sat out week 17, 16 games of 10. They sat out week 17 and then had the bye week. And then, they hosted the division round against the Green Bay Packers. It was a lot of time off for them, and it showed in that game where they had a slow start, kind of try to get back into the game late in the second half before ultimately losing to the Green Bay Packers on a field goal. Do you see any similarities at all in this scenario with the amount of time that the Chiefs have been off?
As far as similarities go, I think that's kind of hard to say because I don't know, how that coach went about his weekly, because you think about Andy, he's a creature of habit. Like, he doesn't change up anything. Everything is at the beginning of the season, in training camp. He has it all down to where they do the same thing every week. And so I feel like from that standpoint, I think there's a little bit of difference. But from them sitting out, of course, there's a similarity there. But other than that, I think this team has played so much football. Two reasons. They played so much football, in just this recently. Yeah. The 11, 3 games in 11 days, and then you get the fact that they've played over the course of 6 years. They've played, equivalent of a full season, going for the playoffs and then Super Bowl. So I think from that standpoint, all these guys, they're professionals, and they've been here before. Had they not have gone on and won some football games, Super Bowls, playoffs, that thing, I would definitely have some type of an issue with them being sit off so long.
Yeah, and that's been my biggest feeling or theme this week is that the amount of time or the amount of games that players like Kelsey, Mahomes, and Jones, like you said, over the last 6-7 years, they played the equivalent of 19 or 20 games, which is a full season longer than anyone else has played thus far. So, and then like you said, with the bye week being in week 6, all those games after that, and then you bunch up three games within 11 days. Fortunately for them, after the second game, they were able to, okay, we can we can mark some of these players down, we can sit them down. We have other players just dress but not really participate. And but the biggest part, we talk about the physical part, but think about this, and this is what I want fans to understand. It's one thing if you're a defending Super Bowl champion, that you get everybody's best. You're a 2-time defending champion, and not only that, but you're also trying to go for history and go for 3 in a row. I think the last team in this position was, of course, the 49ers. You're getting everyone's best. You were everyone's Super Bowl week in and week out.
Right.
So not only have to raise your physical stature, but you have to play at a high level mentally, and that's for me, covering this team along with you. You look at that's the physical and mental exhaustion that saying that break was needed for them. Just mentally, because again, if they would have had if they would have lost one of those 2 games and have to be forced to play week 17 just to get a bye, I mean, who knows how things would have turned out in week 17. But the fact that you were able to cement it, essentially in knocking off Pittsburgh in week 17, now you can rest and you can enjoy the game or what you got a chance to see of it, and then just go on your little your mini bye, your mini break, rest up, get yourself together mentally, and now you get back this week. Andy, like you say, not going to change up anything. You just start ramping up as it relates to get to today's game. And I don't really think that we're going to see any rust just because of how Andy's practices and stuff are.
Yeah, and I agree. Training camp as well. I mean, you've got some guys on this team that haven't been to the Super Bowl. I mean, you think about Kareem Hunt. He's filling the void of his 5, 6 years, 7 years that he wasn't here, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he's here. He's like, man, this is what it would have been like if I would have not done something stupid. And then you have DeAndre Hopkins, who we talked about the 2019 game where D-Hop was right here in this game and haven't been able to get over that hump.
Yeah, and he and Justin Reed, they were all teammates on the other side. And, of course, Justin has since won 2 Super Bowls being here. But
so D-Hop he knows and Travis Kelce talked about it. He's like, man, this guy's like D-Hop that Samaje Perine. All those guys are older guys in the league, and they like, man, this is my opportunity to get to where you guys have been these past few years.
I had somebody ask me last night, they were like, how do I think Kareem Hunt is going to run the football? I'm telling him he's going to run the same way he's been running all season because he knows this is the opportunity. And like you said, now, this is not his first playoff run with the Chiefs. Obviously, the year before, Alex Smith last year, he was obviously on the team. And then he played in the AFC Divisional round against the Chiefs with the Cleveland Browns in 2020. For him, we go back to, what took place in Cleveland when he got pulled over and stuff like that, and the emotion that he shared with seeing his team. He's leaving everything out on the field. And the thing that I tell people, yes, a lot of these players, especially when you look at McDuffie and the players from last year, all they know is Super Bowl wins because that's what they got drafted into. That's all they know. So they know that their season doesn't end until confetti drops. But you have teammates, and you like you mentioned, you have Travis and them who want to win, who want to help not only get to Super Bowl but help players such as D-Hop, such as Kareem, such as P. Ryan, and even Charles Omenihu. Charles got hurt in the AFC Championship game last year, so he didn't even get a chance to get on the field to help try to contribute. So he wants the opportunity to play in the Super Bowl as well. So, it's going to mean a lot for these players to help, to help their teammates try to get over the hump.
Not only that, you got money talking too. Because, I mean, you think about Kareem Hunt. He's trying to play for another contract, right? He's missed a lot of money if you think about it. He could be on his 3rd, 4th deal by now. Hollywood Brown. He was in Baltimore.
He
was in Baltimore. He was in Arizona, and he's missed out, I think, on a little bit of money too. If you just think about, of course he had Lamar Jackson, not a bad quarterback, but then he goes to Kyler Murray. No disrespect to Kyler Murray, but he's not Patrick Mahomes.
He's not even Lamar Jackson.
Right. And so I think, he's like, man, I got a refreshed energy here, and I'm able to go and make me and my family some money. Samaje Perine the same way. He was in Denver. He
was in Cincinnati. I was in Cincinnati first, I think, but then Denver.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the laughing stock of the AFC for a little while. So you think about just all these guys who were playing for contracts. Nick Bolton, Trey Smith, and some other guys are playing. They're playing for deals, and I think the better, or the further you go along, the more money that you make. Of course, in your contract, the incentives and things like that. But they're playing for more money.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, when it comes to Super Bowl's kind of that already. It's already helped their contracts.
Well, no, but still more money. On this end.
And of course, we do want to give congratulations to the assistant general manager for the Kansas City Chiefs, who got the general manager. Yeah, Mike got the general manager position with the Tennessee Titans. Of course, he'll be here watching. Trying to get the next couple of wins or whatever. Get another Super Bowl ring to take with him to Nashville, and may try to see if we can keep him from stealing some of the players. Which, if you're Tennessee, that's what you hope, because that would be a smart move.
Of course.
But looking at this game. The Houston Texans, of course, last week were victorious. I think it was 32-12 over the Los Angeles Chargers. What did you see in that game? Because C.J. Stroud, their quarterback, really didn't have a good first half. Second half was a lot more the defense putting them in position with 4 interceptions. Yeah. And, of course, he was able to convert in that. But what did you see in that game that if they're able to travel with it and bring it into today's game, gives them an opportunity to possibly pull off an upset today?
First of all, Justin Herbert's not Patrick Mahomes. The defense was able to kind of rattle Justin Herbert a little bit after things weren't going right. And the fact that Houston, they can't afford to, not put up points early on the Chiefs, right? Because even if, let's just say, knock on wood, let's just say Patrick goes out here and 3 and out and has to punt. That ain't going to happen too many times, right? They're going to either figure it out or they're going to go down and at least get, at minimum, a field goal. So when you look at it from that standpoint, even me saying that out loud is like, I don't really see them not scoring on too many drives. That's just not in their DNA.
I want to ask you a question. My nephew, my best friend and his son, my nephew, is Texan and wants our opinion on. Do you feel with this Chiefs offensively, will we see more running or passing in today's game, in your opinion?
It's hard to say. I think if I'm going off of what the Chiefs are with their DNA, I think they're not going to run the ball as much. I mean, you think about when they were up. Who was that? Was that Pittsburgh when they were up and they still didn't run the ball? I mean, that's just not in their DNA. No, granted, and we talked about it all the time. It's like you got Kareem Hunt, you got Pacheco. You got to run the ball. And then think about this. The inside, now they have Mike Caliendo in there at left guard, and then you have Tooney over at the left tackle. Sometimes I know Caliendo isn't Joe Tooney right there, right? So that's kind of, if you're running up the left side, that kind of,
I just say run up the damn right side, run behind an angry Trey Smith.
Yeah, and then you look at how Buffalo has started to run the ball. They're putting 6 linemen down there. Yeah. And I believe a lot of times that they'll when they check in, they said, number 76 is eligible, things like that. But we haven't seen the Chiefs do that much. I think they should take a page out of Buffalo's book and go with the big package and run the football.
That also could be something that if they're successful today, they might wait to do it next week.
DJ Humphrey, you got him healthy. So, but I don't feel like they got too. And you the one that threw it out there. They got so many options wide receiver wise, they don't need to.
Well, I was gonna say to answer Kojo's question. Like you, I get frustrated because there's obvious running situations that you would expect to shoot 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
And they have Patrick drop back. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. Why are you doing it? So in that regards, I like to think that they learned their lesson, but sometimes you get a little bit too the play calling gets a little bit too fancy. You're like just the simpleness is just extend the drive. If you're gonna pass, at least do it on first and second down. Don't do it on 3rd and 1. I mean, I don't care if somebody's wide open. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen. That being the case, I do think that they'll probably pass. And another thing that we've talked about is that think about it before the start of this season, Chiefs Kingdom, you had everybody was excited about what the offense could look like with Hollywood, Xavier, Rasheed Rice, of course Travis Kelce, and Isaiah Pacheco. You literally lose 3 of them for most of the season. Yeah, one of them for the rest of the season after the Chargers game. But with that though, Hollywood went down first. You brought in Juju, and then of course Rasheed Rice went down. You brought in DeAndre Hopkins. What happens next? Isaiah Pacheco goes down. You bring in Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Now, outside of Rasheed Rice, everybody's back.
Yeah.
So, one of the things, and we finally got literally a chance to see the offense how it should be against the Houston Texans, when it was here, where Hollywood Brown, and he really is a different, I'd say he's a difference maker because now you have to respect the outside speed with he and Xavier Worthy. They can both stretch the field, and by doing that, you're going to leave the underneath open for DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce. You know what I'm saying? And depending on how many, what they run, if they put Juju in there and just have a, still back and a tight end or whatever, and so you can do all that stuff. You still got Kareem that can come out the back or Pacheco. So as I've said. And if I'm wrong, you can put in the comments. But as I've said, the way that we saw them perform, they should not be punting the rest of the playoffs. I mean, they really shouldn't. Granted, you got to kind of account for somebody false starting, starting early or whatever. If you line up all sides, I got a real problem with that. If you're the offense, you just take care of that right away. But for me, as long as there's, not a holding penalty or a false start, it's hard for me to see how they cannot just go up and down the field, especially if you give them Patrick time.
Yeah.
And so I do want to get your thoughts right quick on the fact that Andy Reid decided to go with Joe Thuney at left tackle today versus DJ Humphries, who is essentially back healthy after playing 95% of the snaps last couple weeks ago against Denver.
I think it's one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right, like you kind of playing a guessing game with if you throw in DJ Humphrey, you know what you're gonna get from Joe Thuney. Look, Joe Thuney is a Super Bowl winning offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You go even back when he was in New England with Tom Brady. I mean, he still won 2 Super Bowls with them, and then came here. So you know what you got with him. Even though one of Andy Reid's things, and it's kind of getting a little bit too deep into it, but Joe Thuney's arms aren't as long as as Coach Reid would like with as far as an offensive lineman goes, and what he drafts for. I'm talking just a left tackle, not offensive lineman, but just left tackle. So I think he's kind of had to go against his beliefs, if so to speak, and putting Joe Thuney out there. But it's worked, right? Like if worse comes to worse,
I'm with you because Joe Thuney was playing left tackle in Cleveland. Myles Garrett did not get a sack.
Right.
He played left tackle the following week against.
He played left tackle against Houston.
And of course, Wilson, the defensive lineman who was doing all the talking about getting after Pat. Nobody touched Pat in that game.
Will Anderson.
Yeah. No. It wasn't Will. It was a defensive lineman that was talking, popping his gums, but yeah, he didn't have any sacks in that game as well. And so the fact that going up against my guy in Pittsburgh,
T.J. Watt.
Yeah. He didn't get. He didn't even register. Anything defensively in that game. So no, I'm with you. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But you are going to have to justify signing him. So he's going to have to get in that. I don't know if it's just a matter of let's get through this game. And then, see how it goes, see who they face next week, and then maybe move him back in to left tackle. And again, I'm just
man. You roll it out. I mean, if I'm Coach Reid and I see that it's working, I'm rolling with it. Like, there's no way that you talk about justifying it.
Can DJ Humphrey play right tackle?
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't see. Here's the thing: when you brought when you brought Wanye, when you drafted Wanye, right? Like he was able to play. I think he played some right tackle before.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, worst comes worst, and you know, if things aren't working right, you can plug and play in other places. But right now, I feel like this is the best offensive lineman this is the best lineup unit you're gonna be able to go with, and
when it comes to the pass protection for Patrick,
okay.
yes, but again, the biggest concern is a lot of people wondering about how it's going to affect the run game.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be fine because you still got Creed, you still got Trey. I mean, that's all you need, really.
Now we'll get to the prediction. I know everybody wants to know what our scores. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I do want to ask him. We're going to stay on the offensive side of football. Are we about to see playoff Pat? Because remember now, we think about it last year, and of course, you know, we know the problems that they were having offensively with the wide receivers dropping passes and Patrick missing, you know, receivers and stuff like that. Really haven't had that too much. You know, Patrick has kind of, you know, early on in the season, he had the interception issues, and the last 7 games he has not turned the football over.
Yeah.
Are we going to see Patrick and Travis Kelce hit the switch and turn it on like they've done in previous years going through the playoffs this season?
I think so. I've been saying I think Patrick's gonna go scorched earth, man. Reason people are like, why he hasn't done that all season. There's been a reason. First, we just started talking about it. Offensive line. I mean, he's been rushed all season. We talk about the throws, some in the dirt, some being overthrown. I mean, if you got somebody that you know is like, man, I trust him, but sometimes I still scratch my head that they may get me. I'm gonna release the ball whether it's good or not. I'm just throwing it. So now we talked about the offensive line being solidified, so to speak. I think that he's gonna be okay. And then sometimes you look, and I'm just going off of what I've seen with Patrick in these past, playoff games. Mm-hmm. Patrick gives up his body a lot. Like as far as running the ball, I mean, he's gonna get if anybody open, you're gonna see Pat get up out of there.
But Patrick will slide.
Yeah,
Patrick is not gonna take unnecessary. Well, no, if he takes a hit, it's because he's already going out of bounds. And
Pat, we've seen him run some of people twice.
Well, yeah, but that's in the end zone. I mean, that's different. I mean, that's in the end zone.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm saying no. If you go truck somebody, do it in the end zone. Just don't do it just to get a first down. If you get a first down, you slide or get out of bounds. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. That being said, I feel like Patrick, and then you got all these weapons, man. Utilize them. Utilize your arm. It ain't no tomorrow.
We talk about some of the players. Charles Omenihu, got a chance to play against him on the 15th. But again, we talk about D.H.A not ever making it past the division round. Mm-hmm. How important is it? And we talk about what the team wants to do, but how important is it? Do you feel like it is for those type of players, knowing that they haven't been further than this, to get not only playing today's game, but try to make sure that they can feel like they're contributing to the team's success?
I think the first pass is gonna go to DeAndre Hopkins, either D-Hop or Kelce. I think you're gonna get them. You got to be able to. Do the end around to Xavier Worthy, get him in it. Simple thing, simplify it first, and then, get the juices flowing. I was listening to, I can't remember who it was earlier this morning, and they were saying that, like, it was a former offensive lineman, I think, for Baltimore. And he was like, we know Lamar's a running quarterback. Mm-hmm. Right. We know sometimes, early on in his career, playoff, we had to make sure that we set him down. So we're like, all right, we're just going to let you get this first hit off, and maybe it'll be somebody's fault. Like, oh, my bad. But we know that that's going to settle you down because, you'll take a hit or whatever. And not a serious one, but we know we're going to get pushed back into you or something like that. So that way it just kind of settles you down. I don't feel like, and none of these guys need that. Right. Like, you think about it. You got some big homies, so to speak, the Travis Kelce's, Mike Pinnell, Chris Jones, all those guys are the big homies, right? Like, they're not going to let you go out there and make a fool of yourself and be just too amped up. We talk about Kareem Hunt. I don't think none of those guys are going to allow that. I mean, you look around at guys in the offense in the huddle, and I've heard people say this before. You look around at everybody's eyes in the huddle, making sure everybody's like they looking right? Because sometimes you get a guy like Xavier Worthy, and he's the light's gonna get too bright for him. But I don't feel like that's gonna happen.
Do you see a scenario where last year staying on the offensive side just a little bit longer. Last year, Rashee Rice was the wide receiver that stepped up in the playoffs. Now, of course, MVS did have the big game against. Well, he had the big catch against Buffalo that helped kind of seal the win for the Chiefs to get to the AFC Championship game. Do you see Xavier taking the next step, or who do you think? And this isn't the X factor question, but who do you think is that offensive
X-Factor?
person?
That's what you're gonna
Well,
ask.
no, because we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But offensively though, who do you think out of the wide receivers is going to be the one that kind of steps up and has a big game?
A part of me wants to say D-Hop, but a part of me this is Kelsey's. This is all Kelsey, man. I really believe that. Like,
there has been talk. Of course, he was on Stephen A's show this week talking about, there's days he feel like this is going to be it. Like, bro, quit talking like that. Like
I think
what you tell us, what you tell the media,
I feel like it's all Kelsey, man. Like, you understand that his day. I mean, I'm not want to say his days are numbered, but really they are. I mean, he has more football behind him than he does in front of him. Yeah. So I think this is all Kelsey. You heard Patrick talk about him, and I hope you guys, if you're better, I hope you guys put Kelsey down for a bunch of yards, like 2 touchdowns, if you ask me. But he said Kelsey it turns into a different guy. Yeah. He's playoff Kelsey, right? Like, so I think he's definitely going to get the brunt of the load, so to speak.
Defensively, well, first of all, I want to welcome you and thank you for tuning in today to the pregame cheat sheet. Steve Walls along with Darren Smith. We're live inside the Arrowhead press box. Of course, if you look behind us, see the TV, the stadium, stuff is behind us. Want to welcome you. The Chiefs are going to be hosting the Houston Texans. Kickoff is in about 35 or so minutes or so. We'll go probably another 15 minutes before we turn it over to the NFL so they can do their thing with the post with national anthem and stuff like that. But on the defensive side of football, so I want to ask you, Chris Jones, of course, is back 100%. But 2 things: the importance of Jalen Watson being back to this defense and what Spags is now going to be able to do, especially with some of the calling, the play calls and stuff on the defensive side. How important is that for this defense coming into today's game?
I mean, I think it's important.
And the playoffs.
I think it's important, but I really don't think it's as important in this game because he's been the amount of time he's been off. I mean, he's been off half of the season.
To start.
Yeah, he must really be like good, cool. I mean, I see some of the stuff that he posts on social media. Where he's been able to move his hips and
But he's probably been ramping up as well. Just because
he's been off for a long. Like, we talk about guys being off and being rusty. You've got to. And I don't know what kind of real game situations they put him through. Because, there's only so much you can do, right? But I feel like Houston's going to test him. And we'll see real quick, where he's at.
Do you see him matching up against Nico, or do you see that being more Trent?
No, I see that's Trent. That's Trent. Yeah, you can't. I don't. If this was J.E.H.A before, But nah. You want to let him get out there. He hasn't had any real game for 6-8 weeks.
You got that dog, though, Steve.
I get that, but it's only so much dog you can have before you get. There's a little dogs get rusty, man. He's gonna have to have, I think, at least the first half of the game to get back into it.
I think it'd be more the first quarter. I think
first quarter.
Because I say that getting out there on the field and perhaps getting that first hit out the way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because we don't know the amount of energy and rush is going to be going through them, and for that type of stuff that so that could have an effect on them. Want to look at this. We know that C.J. Stroud is going to have a lot of his weapons not being. Tank Dell is not playing.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs is out. Nico Collins, his tight end, Dalton Schultz. And Joe Mixon, of course, tweaked his ankle earlier in the week, did not practice on Thursday. I don't know if that was just for precautionary reasons and he's expected to play today. How do you expect their offense, when they're not at full strength, to perform against Spags and his defense once again?
Man, I think Chris Jones is going to wreak havoc. I think he's been off a month, man. He always, beginning of the season, we heard him talk about, I'm going to get my numbers. 10 sacks was that number. I think he got 6.
5.
He got 5? Yeah. Okay. But he didn't get to where he wanted to be. So I think this is we talked about this over the past few years. Like, who's that guy on
And
the
their
defensive side
offensive
of the
line
ball?
has not been good. So
Yeah,
that's a now they have an All Pro in Larry Tunsil and a Pro Bowler in him and a left tackle, but the offensive line in general has not been good at all this season.
and it's weird for this Chiefs team though, because I mean, you think about just the past few years. There's been that guy that's been like the vocal one, right? Like you had the Frank Clark, right?
Uh,
He Derrick Henry write them checks as you know what
we
can't
really need Frank.
cash.
If
Yeah,
if it's us, if it's the Chiefs and it's the Ravens next week, Chiefs need to sign Frank Clark to a 1 game.
here like you had a guy that was just gonna talk and back it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, you know. You can see other teams around the league. They got them dudes that's like they talking and backing it up. The Chiefs are kind of like them silent
Well, the
assassins,
Chiefs,
man.
well, they don't have to because they're the ones with the rings. They're the ones with
Yeah,
the crown.
yeah, but still, I mean, you got Justin Reed, who, you know, we talked to him, but
Well, here's the thing.
it just ain't
Here's the
there.
thing. They'll talk. They're just not gonna do it on camera,
Right, right.
which
That's
is
true. That's true.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
100%.
If we had initials and used to be,
100%. Yeah, 100%.
yeah. So
100%.
that's a smart thing. Let's look at the X factor for today's game. We're going to start, of course, with you since I'm hosting this. We're going to start with you. Let's get your X factor defensively. Yeah, I'm gonna throw you off.
Chris Jones, hands down. Chris Jones. I think as he goes, this defense goes. I mean, I even look at close games, right, where Chris Jones he gets the sack, and this is over his career, right? Like he gets that sack, and he's everybody else is cheering. He's running to the sideline before he's there before anybody else, putting his helmet on the bench and sitting down, and everybody else comes running out the field. So
Hold on,
I
real
think
quick. For those of y'all that are watching, put in who you feel like the Chiefs' X factor will be on offense and defense to win today's game.
yeah, I think it's Chris Jones. No, y'all don't take mine, but it's definitely defensively it's Chris Jones.
I'm gonna go with Trent McDuffie,
Okay.
and the reason why, because again, CJ's main weapon is going to be Nico Collins. If he's going to be lined up and matching up with him, I mean, he is literally this season's L'Jarius Sneed, where a lot of the experts know what Trent has been doing this season, but yet and still, he didn't get any Pro Bowl consideration, didn't get any All-Pro consideration. Last year, he was a first-team All-Pro.
Yeah, second team All-Pro this year.
Yeah, well, I was going there.
Okay.
I'm saying, but but it's not like his play is downgraded. It hasn't. Actually, more pressure has been on him because Jalen Watson, has been injured, for most of the season. So again, if he's going to line up against Nico, how much do you limit his catches and even the catches that he may get, keep him from extending, getting yards after catch? Because to me, if you bottle him up, now CJ's really got to look, he got to look for his second, third, and fourth options or whatever, reads or whatever. And that should, and if he does a good job in locking him up, then, that'll help Chris Jones and everybody else get the pressure on him because CJ won't have his person to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you got Trent, but it all is predicated on getting after the quarterback.
Steve,
Like,
you don't like for us to have the same X factor, so why would I go Christian?
No, I mean, I got you.
George Karlaftis.
No, I got you. I got
Okay.
you, Trent. I mean, I understand that, but I mean, it's still predicated on Chris Jones getting after the ball. I mean, Trent has to lock his man down. I 100%. And just talking to Trent, he don't. I asked him about the snub of all pro and then Pro Bowl. He's like, man, I'd much rather go to Super Bowl. I don't care about none of that.
It's funny. Just a sidebar.
He's a good dude, man.
That's what I keep trying to tell everybody. Everybody was pissed about Patrick, and I'm like, I get it. It's cool to have on your resume, but if you've talked to Patrick long enough, and we have, and I just remember, I literally remember we're at the barbershop. It was me, him, and Dewan, and I remember I said, hey man, I need to get you on Radio Row. And he was like, Dad, if I'm on Radio Row, that means I'm not playing in the Super Bowl. He said, no disrespect, but I ain't trying to do Radio Row in my career. I was like, I like that. So when people talk about that, okay, it's a cool honor, but the Pro Bowl ain't the Pro Bowl like it used to be. Okay, you
Flag football.
yeah, I mean, now, I get it for certain players, you might need that quote-unquote honor for contract purposes. But again, if you're first, second team All-Pro, that kind of supersedes, Pro Bowl as well because more people have more respect for your, because that's voted on by AP and some of the players, former players and stuff. So I said it to say that I just feel like that's going to be the case with that. And so when it comes to Patrick, so Patrick would prefer playing the Super Bowl than being concerned about some Pro Bowl nomination or snub or anything like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Your X factor offensively.
Mm. Travis Kelce. Yeah, I say that because I've been the one to say, and you've got on me a little bit this year. It's like, man, they holding him, they holding him.
Load management.
Yeah. I mean, this is, and we gonna see. This is why they've been doing, or he's been doing what he's been doing. I think it's been an agreement, a kind of a gentleman's agreement. Like, hey, y'all gonna get off during the regular season, but this is my time. Feed me. His homie Eric, shout out to Eric, got it. They got a Homebred Legends that has a hat that says "Feed Your Horse," and this is the time that it's feed your horse, and you got to feed Travis Kelce.
X Factor, Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hit you with something that you wasn't expecting. Who do you think I'm gonna go with for X Factor?
We got a couple that's come in. Delbert, what's it, Kinchelo? Yeah. He said George Karlaftis and DeAndre Hopkins. I like that.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm gonna go with Andy Reid, Matt Nagy.
Okay.
And
that's two.
Well,
you got to choose either or. Choose one. Pick one.
The play calling for the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's just do it like that.
Right.
Whether you want to flip a coin and it's Andy or Matt Nagy. Here's the thing. We know what happened the last time the Chiefs were in the playoffs and Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator and he went to go do an interview with a team during that week. Chiefs lost against the Tennessee Titans. That was the end, and he ended up getting a job the very next day with the Chicago Bears. Now I don't expect it to happen, but and I ain't gonna say it's unfair because the offense ain't really been looking good, and somehow he got an interview. But it is what it is. Shout out to Matt Nagy this time around. But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you need to, as you talked about earlier, quiet all the naysayers, all the fears, that rest versus rust stuff. Come out and let's see what your play calling is. Because again, we talked about it earlier. There are times where we're sitting up in the press box, whether it's here on the road, and some of the calls that they make offensively kind of has you scratching your head like, what the hell are you doing? Especially when it comes to just extending a drive.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I talk about it all the time against the Chargers. Team got the ball near the 40-yard line. It was 1st and 10. They gave the ball to Pacheco. He ran for 6 yards. It's 2nd and 4. He ran the ball again. He got 3 yards. It's 3rd and 1. Instead of just giving him the ball so he can get 1 yard so you can extend the drive, you have Patrick dropping back to pass and it's an incomplete pass. And now you got to punt the football.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm not saying you got to open up the playbook, you say some stuff.
And I still say some of that's Patrick too. I'm just telling you.
We'll get on Patrick post if that happens. So for me, I just I want to see some smart play calling. Put your players in position. You gotta look. First of all,
same thing I said. I agree.
Yeah. So saying I mean, you have better offensive skill players than what the Texans have. Utilize it. Just let your play calling, show itself. And if you are to get a head coaching job, Matt Nagy, let's see why they would be hiring you. Because again, remember we talked about Arthur Smith the last couple of weeks with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, we saw the play calling and stuff. Like, hey, bring this guy in for an interview for a head coach. What are you looking at that we're not seeing?
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see.
Okay. Yeah, 100% agree. I think you got to come out fast. You just from what Andy Reid said, and I've noticed it in the locker room this past week. These guys are ready to play. They amped up.
Oh, gotta be. I mean, add number of time. All right, so Steve, everybody wants to know. I've got a couple of text messages. Nephew says that the Chiefs are going to win 38-26. Our guy Donnell Fletcher says, Coach Fletcher says, Chiefs are going to win 28-17. For all the marbles to advance next week's game, where we will be right here doing the pregame cheat sheet at 4:30 in the middle of the NFC Championship game, where the Chiefs would hopefully be hosting either Baltimore or Buffalo next week. Who is your winner in this game?
I got the Chiefs. I think, like I said, I'm not going against what I've said about Patrick going scorched earth, man. That's what I've been using, scorched earth, and that's what's gonna happen. He's got a lot of naysayers out there. That all they talking about is Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So I feel like he's definitely gonna do what he needs to do. And then Travis Kelce, like I said, you call it load management, I call it just being complacent.
You call it load management.
Well, complacent. You know, it's cool. He's cool with just winning. He's cool when he ain't gotta do what he had to do. But now, this is time.
He didn't have to do a whole lot because this year receivers were actually catching the football.
Yeah, this is time.
That's a big difference.
This is time.
Yeah.
So my score prediction, I've said it 35-14, 35-17, wherever.
They do get above 30 today, is what you're saying. 35. Okay. I mean, I'm cool with that, according to our slips. Gotta go. I've got Kansas City winning. I don't think it's close. Here's the one thing we always talk about. Vegas knows something, and I don't know how they've got the Chiefs opened up initially 8.5, then they got down to maybe 7.5. Now it's up to 9. It was 9 when we were doing our stuff this morning, and so the Chiefs normally don't blow teams out. However, the Chiefs have not been as strong as they are offensively with everybody being healthy.
Let me hit you with something real quick. My boy Carrington, C-Dot, said, I heard him say this earlier, Patrick Mahomes, when they were favored by a touchdown, he's 52-5.
In what?
When they're favored by a touchdown.
The Chiefs do not cover the point spread.
No, I'm saying his win-loss.
Okay.
Win-loss.
Oh, just straight up. Okay.
Yeah, win-loss. No. 50 win-loss.
Okay, yeah.
That's crazy. That's a crazy stat, huh?
Oh, very crazy.
Yeah.
Very good too. Especially if you're betting on today's game. So yeah, I like the Chiefs. It's funny. I think I had them at 31, but I'm like, I'm going 35 because I think they're still a little sketchy when it comes to Harrison Butker. I know we didn't talk at all really about special teams, but Harrison's got a little lingering going on. So
yeah,
if he comes out there, I'd say 31, maybe 38, but I do like the Chiefs winning this game and actually covering the spread today. So,
okay. All right.
So
what is it? It's 8 still, right? 8.5?
Well, it was 9. It was 9 when I placed the bet. Now
it was 8. It was 7.5. Then it's 8, 8.5. Now it's 9.
It's 9. Now,
they know something we don't know.
Now look, the slip I put in, and look, and I don't know how much that may have to do with Joe Mixon or anything like that. Slip I put in, I gave the Chiefs. I did -3. Because she's like to
-3.
Hey, she's like to make it close.
You would.
I don't care. Look, I was trying to give +3, but they wouldn't give it to me. What I'm saying? Look, hey, just in case. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta have some owners out here, man.
Hey, we out here trying to win. Hold on, shout out to my mama. She's probably watching too. So before we get out of here, Steve, you want to thank your sponsors?
Yes,
actually, before you do that, make sure you join us on Monday for the Red Hour. Myself, Steve Walls, DJ Q, and Sean Tyler. We're going to recap today's game. We're going to actually we can't leave because we got to do the predictions for the games. But we'll recap all of this weekend's games, and God willing, we'll be preparing for next week's AFC Championship game. Go ahead.
Yes, thank my friends over at Dillard's on Rosa. Make sure you guys go and check them out. We got some holiday sales right now on all your nice clothing in the men's department. Go talk to my friend Herman Brown in the men's shoes. Herman, man, that's my guy, man. He took care of me this past couple weeks. Other than that, you can talk to Heather or my guy Jeff.
Okay, well, just make sure you name the whole roster next week.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm saying because it's championship week, so we spread the love around. I always want to thank my guy Todd White and Todd's Clothiers and Tailored Suits. Man, got me started there, and I can't lie. I'm trying to see what they got to eat for us. Next thing you know, old Kevin Harlan stops in his tracks like, hey, I'm Kevin Harlan. I'm like, I'm Darren Smith. I've met you before. Final Four. So, hey, next thing he's like, man, You and your guy, man, y'all just sued. He said people don't wear stuff like that. I said, well, we're on the radio. I said, but we live by the Michael Jordan thing that you never know who you're gonna meet and who's gonna come across or whatever. And he was like, I like the way I like the way you think. So he said, I got to go see your guy Todd soon. So since he lives in Overland Park, so when you stop by and see him. So want to thank him. Also want to thank Gates Barbecue as well. We'll be by after the game, just so you know. So have that food ready. But I say that to say 5 locations around the metro area. Look, you got today, you got halftime. If you're nearby, you got the game after it, but you also got tomorrow. There's no excuse for you not to stop by one of the 5 locations, get you some of that good. Also, they are still doing gift cards. You can get a $25 gift card for only $20. Make sure you get that. You can gift that to somebody this holiday season, of course, and even through Valentine's Day. So take care of them like that. And then, Steve, before we get out of here, we got the Detroit Lions hosting the Washington Commanders.
Lions.
You got the Lions?
Yep.
Do they cover? I mean, because look, if it's close, they can't afford to keep it close because we've seen how Jaden.
They got to cover. They can't. That's all Washington needs to do is keep it close once to the fourth quarter.
Okay, I've got the Lions as well. First game tomorrow. We've got the Rams at the Eagles. They say it's supposed to be 4 inches of snow out there.
I know. I got Eagles. If it's snow, I got Eagles. Saquon gonna wreck.
Well, Kyron Williams can run the football too.
Yeah, true.
But again, I think as we talked about today, coin flip. Who starts the game off? Because Kyron, he can break stuff open. We know what Saquon.
If Jalen Hurts plays like he did last week, they lose. He didn't play well to me. He didn't play extremely well.
But because of the weather.
Just saying.
No, I'm saying because of the weather, you can focus more on the run, so he won't really have to throw which, of course, is going to piss A.J. Brown off. He'll go, I can't like to see him reading the book on the sideline. But I'm going with the Eagles as well.
Okay.
But then the big game, of course, where we get to sit back and watch, everything goes well for us today, Bills, Ravens, thoughts on that matchup?
I got the Ravens.
Why?
I just think I just feel like you leave.
Now, last time those two teams played, they played in Baltimore,
and they beat them
35-10.
Yeah, I got the Ravens. I just feel like they're playing too well, man. I feel like Derrick Henry's playing well. Their defense is okay, but if I'm Buffalo, you got to make
it's supposed to be
Lamar
cold.
Jackson
I don't think it's supposed to be snow on the ground, but it's supposed to be real cold.
Yeah, you just got to make Lamar Jackson beat you with his arm. If you can stop Derrick Henry, I'd much rather play Buffalo if I'm the Chiefs. 1, because they beat you this season already, and 2,
that whole thing.
That's the only people that beat you this season.
Okay, and so I'm going. When we did our show this week, I went with the Ravens as well. I think that combination of Lamar and Derrick Henry running the football and knowing that you're going to, go into frigid areas where it's probably going to be met. And I still think Lamar can throw the football in the coast. I'm not one of those people who don't think that he can't. So I like that matchup. And again, the defense faces Derrick Henry every day. It would be hard to imagine that they would have issues trying to stop or at least trying to limit James Cook from having a big game. Josh Allen, that's another question. The 2 MVP candidates, finalists, going up against each other. I think it could just end up being who has the ball last, but I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. All right, so make sure you join us post-game. Post-game, we'll bring you Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the presser after the game, and then Steve and I will also bring you some post-game analysis after today's game. Hopefully it'll be a win. See, I'm going to make the executive decision. We're going to do it from downstairs instead of outside. I'm just saying. Because you already said you ain't got no hat. Well, you already said you ain't got no hat. So okay, that's fine. We do it outside. I ain't no punk. I wore a skull cap. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, everything goes according to plan. We'll be back next week, and follow us throughout the week because we'll be here throughout the week. Chiefs win today. We have. We'll bring you pressers and interviews throughout the week this week because everything will be held up here at the stadium. But next week's game was here at Arrowhead Stadium. Kickoff will be at 5:33. We'll do our pregame. We'll start the pregame show at 4:30, and see if the Chiefs can make it to the Super Bowl. So with that, again, follow Steve Walls at Steve Walls KC. Follow me at Darren Smith NFL. I want to thank you so much. And enjoy the game on ABC and ESPN, where the Chiefs will be hosting the Houston Texans in a matter of 12 minutes. We are out.